but it seems like a lot of the content creators on this platform have not experienced revenue loss from advertising at all.
Thoughts on the adpocalypse? There's no adpocalypse going on.
Now, you can say that it's unfair, but you can't say it's not happening. Hasan clearly is like one of the biggest proponents of this. I would say he is the biggest proponent to a lot of the contention around the, quote, adpocalypse.
It seems like Lacey and Ronaldo and others that were also claiming that their ad revenues were getting targeted were actually just memeing. And I think part of the reason why it's not working, regardless of how nutty this shit is just simply not true.
90% of the examples that are being used,
is me being anti-Semitic and being pro-terrorism. Thank you, Asman.
So, it seems like Hasan is at it again. This time, he's just lying and trying to boost the narrative that there really isn't an adpocalypse at all. And one might wonder, why would he even do that? Well, it's simply because he doesn't want to admit that Destiny and Dan's operation has been successful. He's going as far as to shine a spotlight on a couple creators that have said they aren't being affected at all, and shove aside everyone else that have said their ad revenue has been severely affected. It really just seems like he wants to have his cake and eat it too. Because he wants to sit here and act like the adpocalypse isn't happening, but also simultaneously blame Asmongold for the adpocalypse. He doesn't want to pick one because he wants to cover all of the bases. He wants to have an explanation for whatever the community decides is true.
It doesn't even seem like there is like a full-blown adpocalypse happening, because there are some people who have been hit like Hasan, but it seems like Lacey and Ronaldo and others that were also claiming that their ad revenues were getting targeted were actually just memeing. They were meta chasing. They were just trying to clip farm.
Revenue does not go back up to what it needs to be, I will not be streaming anymore. Simple as that. "10 out of 10 bait that's gonna hit on Twitter." Chat, how many hate comments is that gonna get on a Scuba Ryan Twitter reply? How many hate replies is that one gonna get? How many, chat? Yoxic hate thread incoming? So many.
This is not a normal circumstance. I don't think most people have ever experienced like a mass serial cyber stalking, cyber harassment operation like this. And the Ludwig video is on the playlist, so we'll get started on this. But the thing that annoyed DGG Reddit and all is the fact that Elwig said that the adpocalypse would only last a month because of how important Christmas is to advertisers. Elwig is correct, but it seems like a lot of the content creators on this platform that aren't doing any sort of political coverage whatsoever have not experienced revenue loss from advertising at all.
Thoughts on the adpocalypse? There's no adpocalypse going on. Yeah, there's no adpocalypse happening. None of our ad revenue has changed. None of the ad revenue of any streamer that I know has been changed. I know that there were some problems with specifically certain tags that were on Twitch that people were talking about, but none of our shit has had problems. Yeah. None of it. Yes, there is. No, there isn't. You know what an adpocalypse means? Adpocalypse means the entire platform is getting shit on. Our ferret rescue runs off of ad revenue. Hasn't changed a dime.
Yeah.
You know, I like how Hasan sees this guy setting himself up for being clipped and just assumes that all of FaZe Clan were just lying the entire time to Metafarm. I don't know, if you ask me, that's kind of a weird conclusion to come up with from such a small clip. God forbid he was just trying to hype up a situation that is actually happening and trying to clip farm it. And isn't it kind of funny how immediately after, Hasan says Ludwig is correct in saying that the adpocalypse is only going to last a month because of Christmas? Well, Hasan, you gotta pick one, dude. Is the adpocalypse not happening, or is it only going to last a month? Both can't be true. Also, that guy at the end is just wrong. Go back to the original Adpoclypse in YouTube. Different categories were affected differently because of different advertisers in different categories providing different CPM rates. So inherently, everybody was affected differently by the adpocalypse. I really don't think that an ad-friendly gamer is indicative of what's happening across the board on Twitch. Also, it's kind of funny how Hasan mentions Ludwig's video, but then doesn't show it at all in this video he's made for his channel. Kinda weird, right? Well, that's because Ludwig says multiple times that the Adpoclypse is definitely happening. He just thinks it won't last long. And Hasan can't show that because it'll blow up his entire narrative that he's trying to create for this video. Not to mention that Hasan even got Ludwig to remove a clip from this video because he didn't like the most mild form of criticism from him. So Hasan whipped his boy into place and had him fall in line. But not everyone is falling in line to Hasan's narrative. Asmongold is telling it like it is and saying that it might have kicked off with him, but if you look at all the clips as a whole that people are using to talk about Twitch's double standard, Hasan is the main focus in 90% of them. And let's just say, Hasan doesn't like that very much.
What is this? Let's see.
Hasan clearly is like one of the biggest proponents of this. I would say he is the biggest proponent to a lot of the contention around the, quote, adpocalypse.
Yeah. No.
He's the main reason why this is, like, 90% of the examples that are being used.
Yeah, is me being anti-Semitic and being pro-terrorism. Thank you, Asmon.
Are him. Like, or maybe not 90, it might be 80, 70%. But it's like the majority of all examples on the entire platform are all Hasan. So, yeah, very clear.
That didn't ring any alarm bells for you at all? Like, not even a little bit?
Very clearly, this is the reason why it's happening. Now, you can say that it's unfair, but that's fine. That's okay. But you can't say it's not happening, or that's not the reason.
Talk to Asmon again. He's getting brain broken. I don't think I can change his mind. I don't know why they keep saying they block users in Israel. I literally made another account on the 9th of June. I think that there was one method that was blocking new Israeli viewers from creating a new account, but it was also Palestinian viewers as well using the same ISPs. Yeah, email account formation was blocked. Phone number still worked. They always conveniently leave out Palestine was blocked too. Yeah, because the entire thing is cynical. It's a cynical way to build up a narrative. And it hasn't actually worked. It hasn't really worked that much, which is why they're pissed off and they try to like tack on new shit. And they're just going to keep trying to pile it over and over again. And not only are they, clipping context, they're just straight up lying now. These guys are doing the same shit that like people used to do during the Gamergate era, Like I said, it's pretty wild because like this is a very deliberate way. This is a very deliberate way to just basically stop any sort of discourse from happening. Like any sort of discourse. This isn't like someone who is legitimately being anti-Semitic or someone who's like whipping up their audience to do acts of terror or some shit, like a dangerous person that must be stopped or anything like that. This is straightforwardly a very obvious instance of like direct censorship, because the context in which we talk about Hezbollah or Hamas or any number of these different like organizations that are classified as non-state actors, terrorists, is academic. Like, yeah, I around, I make jokes, but ultimately the purpose is literally educational. I'm offering historic context, historical analysis, historical context to this conversation. It's just like literally what you would, it's exactly the type of conversations that you would be having in a college lecture. Now you can clip something out of context and be like, oh, this is what you would do in a college lecture, and then like show like the Houthi music video or some shit like that. But ultimately, yes, like I have had actual academic lecturers on, like heads of departments on, to have these exact same conversations. And that is what their gripe is. Their gripe is, I don't like that you're talking about this.
You gotta love how Hasan is complaining about people clipping him out of context when that's what he did for this entire video of his. Not to mention that that's just what he does routinely. Asmongold said a lot more than that, and Hasan just won't show but a small clip of it, because he's afraid of Asmongold articulating it in a fashion where Hasan's audience might agree with it. So Hasan runs defense by omission. It's kind of actually pretty ironic that Hasan would mention people clipping stuff out of context and lying, when that's how he goes after everyone he doesn't like. Hasan watching clips out of context to draw a narrative about people he doesn't like is literally his bread and butter. casually look over to his chat where there's always some convenient clip being linked by his chat, as well as a jumping off point for him to slander his opposition. And since it came from chat, Hasan gets to just casually act like that is the common sentiment. The fact is, Asmongold is 100% correct. The majority of all of this issue is because of the double standard Twitch has had for Hasan, for all of the insane he has said and done. Also, Hasan just thinks way too highly of himself if he thinks his bro-level analysis of breaking news is anything remotely like a college lecture. I'm sure in college lectures, they just say you're obsessed and mentally ill to every single person that criticizes them.
They bought an ad called advertiseontwitch.com, site that lets you understand how your ads might appear on Twitch. Dude, this is so mentally ill. This is so mentally ill. I don't think these guys understand that, like, the more they do this, the more advertisers can be like, you guys are freaks. This will never go on LSF, just so you guys understand. Like, nothing that actually is correcting the record will ever go on any of these like aggregator subreddits. And it's so crazy that this is ongoing for months and months at this point. Hasan is covering this on stream. This is just some of what Destiny's Discord is up to. What is this? If you're interested in sending emails to the Israel Ministry of Foreign Affairs, here's some contacts. Ran Natanzan, head of innovation and country branding. Public Diplomacy Division, Aviv Ezra, Chief of Staff, Consular Washington MFA, subject, anti-Semitism at Amazon-owned company in the news. This level of dedication is not normal. This level of dedication, and not even still not even being able to achieve the results that you want to achieve is crazy. And I think part of the reason why it's not working, regardless of how nutty this shit is just simply not true. You can try to manipulate clips as hard as you want to, and including but not limited to like playing Nazi music over another stream, right? Like, these guys are so invested and so worried about anti-Semitism, supposedly, that they're going after someone who's not anti-Semitic. They're doctoring shit. They're clipping everything out of context. Like, it's just, there is no end to this depravity in an effort to get their desires across. Look, Apple ads. Looks like Apple's coming back to do some advertising on Twitch. Interesting choice.
Yeah.
This is just Hasan's most common tactic, to discredit every single legitimate piece of criticism that is thrown his way and has gained any sort of actual traction. Just call the person obsessed or mentally ill and say that they're all just saying this because they orbit destiny. Never engage in the actual criticism, because doing that would legitimize it. If Hasan actually thought that none of what he did was wrong, and none of this is actually true, and everyone against him is just obsessed, then why did he delete 2 months of VODs after all of the controversy? I can tell you that it certainly isn't because he thinks he did nothing wrong. If you thought there was no ammo to use against you, then why delete it? We all know why. It's because this guy is trying to minimize his attack surface. He knows what he has said, and he knows that it will be used against him. So, he deleted it. Also, Destiny's community wouldn't have to resort to such tactics if Twitch wasn't so heart-set on protecting you. The only way to stop the double standard at this point is to make it hurt Twitch's wallet. And Hasan is just so desperate to act like this has been totally ineffective that he just keeps on holding up clips of people getting an ad, or people saying it's not an issue, so he could continue to paint the picture that is the most convenient to him. But it seems like Ludwig doesn't entirely agree with Hasan on this, because by Ludwig's analysis, the adpocalypse on Twitch is very real.
In Twitch world, a piss match, right? Hasan is blaming Asmongold for the adpocalypse for teaming up with people who he says, and Asmon is
Looking at me and blaming me. I want to say you're welcome.
taking blame himself and probably talking about DEI again for the 100th time. If I had to guess. For some people, they're making 10, 20% of what they used to make. And the way ads worked on Twitch for a long time was a very simple calculation. What is your viewership? Okay, what is your ad density? How many ads are you running an hour? And where are your viewers from? Because advertisers view viewers differently depending on their location. That is it. That is the only factors that went in. And then however much money Twitch made from advertising, they would pay you out like a percentage portion, all right? You know, something like 30, 40, 50, some percent based off your deal of how much money they made from the advertisers. The issue is that only works if they have advertisers. And a lot of advertisers have pulled out, okay? They have pulled out and it has hit Twitch hard.
Huh. So the adpocalypse is very real, you say? Well, Hasan was so unhappy with Ludwig's video that he got this guy to remove the slightest bit of criticism against him, where it showed Hasan having one of his outbursts that contributed to the adpocalypse. Because he can't have that. And of course, Ludwig's whipped ass obliged and removed the clip using YouTube's editor. But to be honest, I'm quite surprised that he didn't just get him to delete the entire video, because it runs directly in opposition to Hasan's narrative that none of this is actually happening, which is exactly why Hasan didn't include any of Ludwig's video in his piece about the adpocalypse not being real. When you really just look at everything Hasan is doing, it's clearly just a finely crafted attempt to obfuscate the situation and absolve himself of doing anything wrong. Just look at the specific clips he decides to include and the ones that he decides not to. It all paints a pretty obvious picture.
DGGers are smugly watching streamers freak out about losing like 80 to 90% of their ad income. It has been gross. Yeah, but it hasn't even really been happening. Like, that's the other thing. It doesn't seem like it's happening. I mean, you can literally see an ad on Laura Lux's stream while this is occurring, you know?
With the brand below.
My mom gonna be so proud.
Cheetos, official sponsor of J Balvin's Fingertips.
Like, do you see what I mean? Looks like Apple is coming back to do some advertising on Twitch. Interesting choice. What is this?
City awards scholarships to 98% of incoming freshmen, totaling over $57 million every year. Apply to DePaul University.
They bought an ad called advertiseontwitch.com. Site that lets you understand how your ads might appear on Twitch. Dude, this is so mentally ill. This is so mentally ill. I don't think these guys understand that, like, the more they do this, the more advertisers can be like, you guys are freaks.
The adpocalypse isn't real, guys. Look at this ad playing. Dude, even with the YouTube adpocalypse, there were still ads playing, just a severe reduction. And the ones left were significantly lower in their CPM value. And Hasan, you can act like this doesn't hurt you and it isn't real all day. But then again, you wouldn't be panically addressing every single clip and excerpt that makes you look bad. You are clearly running defense because you're worried it's being effective. Keep calling it unhinged and deranged and mentally ill. But when you look at it, these are all the same tactics your journalist buddies used against YouTube during the adpocalypse. You just keep saying that because it's your only way to snap back. Act like all the people that are against you are totally unhinged and aren't effective. But also, if they are effective, it'll only last a month. But also, it's not actually happening at all. Dude, you need to pick a defense and stick to it. 'Cause you are the one looking unhinged by trying to run defense on every perceivable angle while simultaneously trying to say that nothing is actually being effective. All right, guys, I said my bit. Hasan is clearly on the ropes and increasingly annoyed that this won't go away. I hope you guys liked the video, and if you did, hit that like button and subscribe. And if you want to watch another video, YouTube thinks you're going to like this video right here. Peace.